Criterion actually dropping some decent stuff this month. I actually feel like talking about one of their announcements for the first time in a while. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut now and again.
I took every drug known to man at the same time to stimulate every corner of my brain. And this was the result.
What's good, nerds? How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Movie Mass. I am your host, the Honorable Movie Monk J. His Holiness? His Holiness. I think that's what I was supposed to say. It's late. What do you want from me? This is my first one of these, though, I swear. And I hope everybody's well. Welcome to the Movie Mass. I think I might have already said that, but Criterion, just yesterday as I record this, announced a day early, but that happens oftentimes when the 15th falls on a Saturday. They will oftentimes make their announcement on the 14th just to get people excited going into the weekend, maybe drive some pre-orders. I think Friday's a great day to drop your new pre-order titles because people get paid on Friday. So everyone's like, hell yeah, I just got paid. I'm gonna pre-order some new Criterions and stuff. So like I said, this has been the first month and maybe a couple of months that I've really been kind of excited about the Criterion slate. Obviously, the Stanley Kubrick brick of Kubrick movies. That aside, obviously I'm excited for that. That's kind of a big deal. But that aside, so a lot of the individual releases over the last several months, even stuff that's kind of cool, like Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, that's kind of cool. I will end up buying that at some point. But none of the release slates have really gotten me excited. And this one, I think, has a few notable announcements that I kind of wanted to yap about for a couple of minutes at least until this kicks in. And I'm going to go watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake, the Arrow 4K. That's what I'm doing as I pass out tonight. Anyway, I don't want to bury the lead, and at any rate, a lot has been already said on YouTube about this particular announcement. I speculated about this in a video that I did back in February of this year. I can't believe it's been that long, but it was rumored at that time that Criterion would be releasing K-Pop Demon Hunters, which feels like a bit of an oddity for their collection. You know, it feels a little poppy. I've seen it many times. I have two daughters. I have seen K-Pop Demon Hunters many times. I know it inside and out, backwards and forwards, like many dads in 2026 of daughters at least. I got very acquainted with K-Pop Demon Hunters. I am undoubtedly going to buy K-Pop Demon Hunters on 4K from the Criterion Collection. I even like the artwork on this one. It is kind of busy, and it is a little flat, so it's hard to get the depth, but it is also very colorful. It's very vibrant. I like the saturation. So I actually like the artwork here on the K-Pop Demon Hunters. It's actually a little bit more manga-ish than the actual animation in the movie, so I kind of appreciate that. And it looks like it's got some good stuff on it. Criterion announced a full-length making of documentary. It's not even a featurette. I mean, it's a full feature length. It's got to be at least 84 minutes or something like that. So that's going to be cool. I'm hoping that I can get my daughters to chill out and watch some of those supplement. Maybe at least my older one will chill out and watch some of those supplementals for like how the film was made, the behind the scenes. Look, K-Pop Demon Hunters is coming. No, it doesn't feel like a Criterion release, but at the same time, as I believe I've mentioned in other videos on this channel, Criterion does seem to be expanding their horizons here a little bit over the last several years. You know, in the first decade or so of the 2000s, Criterion very much seemed to be French New Wave, Japanese cinema, a little bit of American indie cinema, art cinema, maybe not even indie cinema. There was a little bit of stuff like that with Chasing Amy, but regardless, it really seemed like most of Criterion's output, yes, Armageddon, yes, The Rock, notwithstanding a few of those titles, it really seemed like Criterion, once they fell into the groove, it was a lot of Kurosawa, it was a lot of Truffaut. They would, yeah, sure, sometimes they'd throw in a Disik or something like that with Bicycle Thieves. Sure, they had a lot of stuff in their collection, but it all seemed to be a little bit more artistic, a little bit more high-minded classics and foreign works that weren't, they weren't exactly popcorn flicks, let's put it that way. Criterion, they left a lot of room, I think, for other boutiques like Shout Factory and later a little bit Arrow to jump in on some of those popcorn flicks like The Mask or Spawn. I mean, there's stuff that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I said I was going to pass out watching that tonight. There's stuff that Arrow has scooped up that Criterion just, it's not like Criterion wouldn't have had a whack at least one of those, but that was never really Criterion's style. It feels like maybe they're making a bit of an exception with K-Pop Demon Hunters. Again, I did a video on this just about Criterion doing K-Pop Demon Hunters last February, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. You can go check out that video if you want to see me go on about that for like 20 minutes and really kind of get in depth with my thoughts. I don't necessarily think K-Pop Demon Hunters belongs in the Criterion Collection, like right up next to Killers of the Flower Moon and Sorcerer and shit like that at the same time. You know, I don't begrudge Criterion wanting to make a little bit of money too. This is undoubtedly going to be a huge seller. They're doing all three formats. They're doing a 4K, a Blu-ray, and a DVD. Increasingly, Criterion has not been doing DVDs, but just because K-Pop Demon Hunters is so big, I guess they want my in-laws to go get the DVD so that my daughters can watch the DVD when they're over there at my in-laws' house or something like that for the weekend. But will people, some people, kind of twist themselves into pretzels to prove that for some reason K-Pop Demon Hunters belongs in the Criterion Collection? Maybe. I mean, you might even have a few good points. The film did really well. It's an enjoyable film. I don't think it's a great film. I think it's a very good film. I think I might love it if I had ovaries and was 25 years younger. I would be falling into that demographic. So, you know, it is what it is. K-Pop Demon Hunters is coming. They announced Frankenstein last month, and hell, Stranger Things just came out in July from Arrow on physical media. So, are we entering a new renaissance of Netflix streaming exclusive content now finally trickling back into physical media the way they used to do circa 2013 with things like House of Cards? Maybe. Maybe. That could be a discussion for a different day, so watch out for that. Criterion also announced Marie Antoinette, which I think is maybe more appropriate for Criterion than K-Pop Demon Hunters. This, of course, is a Sofia Coppola film. So she's a Coppola. She's got the pedigree in that in the breeding sense. And then Marie Antoinette also, I guess, kind of an indie darling. I'm trying to remember back to when it came out. I think it came out in '08. So I'm trying to put my brain back almost 20 years ago. And of course, a lot of those brain cells have been a little bit damaged in transit. So they're not in the best condition anymore. The memory is not quite what it could be if I kept my nose clean. But yeah, I think Marie Antoinette probably is a little bit more of, you know, it might be a little bit more poppy. Again, it's not a Truffaut, but I don't begrudge Criterion doing other things besides Melville and trying to offer a wide variety. And who knows, maybe it opens the door to other Sofia Coppola films. Maybe we'll see something like Lost in Translation. I know Kino had that for a long time, but I think eventually Kino threw their hands up in frustration and said, fuck you, and I quit. And that was the last thing I heard about Kino's progress on a 4K for Lost in Translation. So maybe Criterion is going to attempt to succeed where Kino finally said, this juice is not worth the squeeze. Will they put out more Sofia Coppola stuff? It remains to be seen. Will I buy Marie Antoinette? Not right away, but you know, one day in that post-apocalyptic wasteland of like post-physical media, and I'm just desperate and I'm just looking for anything to buy. Yeah, sure, I'll pick it up at that point. The next one, this one was very interesting too, and this one fuels maybe a little bit of internet speculation as well, which I will talk about briefly. That is David Lynch's Wild at Heart. This is early 90s. Was this 90, 91, something like that? Very early 90s. It's a David Lynch film. It's like the only David Lynch film. Well, Dune. Dune is with Arrow, but I think Criterion pretty much has all of them. You look at David Lynch's filmography, and for a guy who started in the late 70s, he wasn't as prolific as somebody like Spielberg. Spielberg's been working, if you count how many films um, Spielberg did between 1977 and 2024, and then you count how many David Lynch did in the same time span. I don't know, something like 5 times more for Steven Spielberg. So, Lynch, while he worked over a long period, he wasn't churning them out. I mean, you could tell he took a little bit more time. I'm sure he did other projects. He had trained initially to be a fine artist, like a painter, and so I'm sure he did, other forms of artwork. I believe I've read. So yeah, at any rate, cool that Wild at Heart is coming. This is a standalone release, but it fuels a little bit more speculation on my part that perhaps Criterion is readying a David Lynch box set as well to contain all of David Lynch's films, at least his theatrical work. I imagine that they would license a lot of his short films as well, just to round the set out. You want to do that when you're presenting a complete set. You really want to get everything. I'm not sure what they would do with Twin Peaks, the television series at least. We know that Criterion has the film Fire Walk with Me, but I'm not sure what they would do with some of his television work. He also did work in television that was not Twin Peaks. So I'm not sure what Criterion does with his television work, especially if they're including part of Twin Peaks and they're trying to make this like a complete David Lynch collection. I think there's some conversation to be had as to whether or not they try to include the television, because that bloats things out in terms of how many discs and how many hours of entertainment there is when you start throwing in whole seasons of television programming. So we'll see. I think, maybe I'm holding off on Wild at Heart as much as I'd like to pick this up. Hearing that there's a David Lynch box set in the wings, I'm not sure I want to pick up any more David Lynch singles than I already have, because I'm already going to have to dump a couple off, because I'll be buying the box set. I mean, forget about it. It's not maybe as big a deal as a Kubrick box set, but it's still a big deal if they manage to get all of David Lynch's theatrical films, all of his full-length films, and they include his shorts in there as well, if not the television series. So I don't know what that means for Wild at Heart. I would imagine that that would be a pretty big seller for Criterion as well, but I don't know if people are going to think like me and try to hold off. Who knows? What do you think? Are you going to try to hold off? You got to let me know in the comments below. Are you waiting for the David Lynch box set, or is it too speculative for you at this time? You'd rather have something concrete in your hands with Wild at Heart. Now, Criterion is also releasing one that this is kind of new to me. Obviously, it's older film, 1965. It's been around long enough. I ought to know about it, but also it was made in the Soviet Union back when Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. So this is a Ukrainian film. You could also call it a Soviet film because it was made during the time that Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, and that is Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors. And I have to tell you, the name sounds pretty cool. Like the title of this movie, Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors. I want to learn, what is that about? That entices me. It pulls me in a little bit. I want to learn. Also, I'm not a huge Soviet film guy, but I do have a good appreciation for Soviet era film. I think the stuff that they were doing, Ballad of a Soldier I've got, Solaris, of course, and I think some of this stuff is really very interesting work. And so I'm down to check this one out. It's not like a day one purchase because I don't know much about it. I really kind of feel like I need to investigate a little bit more about this one, but I'm down to check it out. It sounds like it might be experimental visually. In fact, I think Criterion describes it as hallucinatory visual invention. So that sounds kind of interesting to me as well. I do like some experimentation with visuals, even some narrative experimentation as well, as long as it's satisfying, by the end of it. So I don't know. Tell me if you know more about Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors than I do. Educate me below. Feel free to browbeat me and call me names for not having seen this one yet. I apologize profusely in advance, but I hadn't seen it yet. I am interested, so, take it somewhat easy on me because I'm open. You don't have to open me up. I'm open, but I would love to hear about what's cool about it. Sell me on it a little bit. Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors, it's got a sick name at least. Now, this one kind of surprised me a little bit. This one is not one that I was necessarily expecting, where K-Pop Demon Hunters, we've been expecting it for months. Yeah, it's kind of a big announcement, but not a shock, especially with Frankenstein getting announced last month. It seems like, yeah, the 1-2 punch. The Right Stuff. The Right Stuff was actually a little bit more surprising to me. The Right Stuff is, of course, a pretty big movie. I want to say it's maybe not huge, but it's a larger film. I think this is one that has routinely been in print, in circulation. It's a Warner Brothers release. I think they did several Blu-rays for The Right Stuff, at least 3 or 4. They kept it in print and they kept coming out with. So this will be the first time on 4K. Obviously, it had a ton of Blu-rays from Warner Brothers. It is kind of interesting to see Criterion picking this one up. It was not something that I expected to see necessarily with The Right Stuff, but definitely one to check out. I mean, it's an early 83, I think it was an 83 film, directed by Philip Kaufman. The Right Stuff is pretty well known. You've probably even seen it. So that one, again, may not be a day one. I think I've still got it on DVD. But this is going to be an eventual pickup for sure. This definitely goes into the list for eventual pickup, maybe in a sale or something like that. But I was surprised to see The Right Stuff, and pleasantly so, surprised to see The Right Stuff join the Criterion Collection. I'm definitely down for more films like The Right Stuff. That feels like a really good sweet spot to me. It doesn't feel like K-Pop Demon Hunters, where they're kind of, chasing a bag, so to speak. They're trying to make a payday off something like K-Pop Demon Hunters. But at the same time, The Right Stuff it's something people are familiar with. It's unlike Shadows of Forgotten Ancestors that I've never even heard of before. The Right Stuff, like everybody knows The Right Stuff, right? If you don't know The Right Stuff, let me know down below, or don't, because then you'll be exposing yourself. Criterion also announced, I think this is part of their Criterion Premieres sub-label. So this one doesn't get a spine number, but it is Blue Heron. Is another film that I really don't know much about. I think I heard about it. This one's quite recent, 2025. I think I heard about this when it was out last year. I might have read something about it briefly. I really don't know anything about this one. So Criterion Premieres is like new to physical media, Blu-ray only. These aren't, this sub-label doesn't do any 4Ks. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe I'll check it out. I really don't know anything about this. So if you went to see this in the theater last year, educate me below. Again, I'm open to anything Criterion puts out, but I don't know much about this film. Another one I'm kind of excited about coming back to the Criterion Collection is Harold and Maude. Harold and Maude had been out of print for a couple of years. Criterion put it out, I don't know, a decade or more ago, maybe 2012, 2013. This is a much earlier spine number. It is spine number 608. So this is not a super early spine number. It's about a mid spine number, but it went out of print, and then Paramount Presents did a copy of it. I think Paramount Presents even did a 4K of it. So this is not new to 4K. If memory serves, I haven't looked any of this up. I'm recording this off the cuff. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Sue me. But I think Harold and Maude got a 4K from the Paramount Presents line. As you guys all know, those Paramount Presents don't stick around forever. That's a limited time kind of deal. Once those are gone, they're kind of gone. So Harold and Maude has been kind of gone. And I do appreciate Criterion's attempts, the effort that they put in to try to bring films back into the Criterion Collection. You really get the feeling that Criterion doesn't want any of their offerings to go out of print. Criterion has known for many years what their out-of-print market is like, the aftermarket, what the eBay prices on some of this shit is like. And I get a sense in some of the things that they've written, some responses to emails that I've seen, and public posts from the Criterion Collection, that they don't like the idea of one of their Blu-rays, like Rosemary's Baby, going for $100. So Harold and Maude is back. I hope you didn't spend $75 trying to get Harold and Maude. I missed Harold and Maude the first time around, but look at this. It's back, and it's back in 4K, which means not only did I not have to buy it from a scalper on eBay for 75 bucks, but I'm getting a 4K out of the deal. So I think this is a lesson to everybody with Peeping Tom, with Harold and Maude, Story of Floating Weeds. There's a couple others that Criterion has brought back into print in the last couple of years, but I'm not remembering them. But there's probably a handful. The Long Good Friday, that was a couple of years ago. But there are some films that Criterion has brought back into print, even after considerable time. This is Spinal Tap was out of print for 20 years, and Criterion recently brought it back into print with a 4K. So I think the lesson across the last year or two is that Criterion is going to try to bring some of these things back into print. Don't pay stupid prices for an out-of-print Criterion Blu-ray like Rosemary's Baby on eBay, okay? Just wait patiently. Criterion's going to bring the thing back when they get a chance. So I think being patient will pay off. You'll get a 4K out of the deal, and you'll pay less for the 4K than you will for the old-ass Blu-ray. So Harold and Maude coming back, and I'm always happy to see a Criterion come back. Now, also being upgraded, I don't think this one has been out of print. At least it hasn't been out of print recently. I think the Blu-ray has been around for a little while. I've got the DVD. I bought the DVD, I don't know, 20 plus years ago. It's Shoot the Piano Player, which is this is a Criterion Collection film, right? It's directed by Francois Truffaut. This is like what you think of. Like, yeah, it's Truffaut. It's a French film, Shoot the Piano Player. I have not seen this film in a number of years, but I do remember it being a lot of fun. It's not super artsy-fartsy, right? You think Truffaut and you think French New Wave and you think a lot of real kind of high-minded artsy shit. This one's a very good, very entertaining. Yeah, it's in French. You got to read the English subtitles, but it's a very entertaining film, in my opinion. Good popcorn flick. If Francois Truffaut ever did a popcorn flick, it's Shoot the Piano Player. Anyway, that is the Criterion announcements for the month of, this is going to be November when these come out. So you might be able to get some of these during the Criterion sale. It's even possible you might be able to. Some of them may come out too late. You might miss that Barnes & Noble Criterion sale, but there's always another sale the next year. So I always say be patient on some of these. You get good deals on some of these. I think something like K-Pop Demon Hunters might be sold out initially, but you know Criterion, nothing is limited, and so when it comes back, you can get your grubby little hands on it, grubby little mitts on it. So let me know which of these releases you're excited below the belt over. You know, is it Marie Antoinette? Kirsten Dunst isn't looking bad on the cover of that thing. That weird hair kind of actually works for me a little bit. So if that's what excites you, down below, let me know down below. And if you're still watching this video right now, thank you so much for sticking around to this point. You are officially one of the real motherfuckers, right? These guys are the realest. This list right here, though, this is the list of the realest motherfuckers. You know what to do. You know how to do it. I'm going to go chug the rest of this thing, and I got Texas Chainsaw Massacre calling my name. It's time to pass the F out. My brothers, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
You are physically repulsive, intellectually retarded, you're morally reprehensible, vulgar, insensitive, selfish, stupid. You have no taste, a lousy sense of humor, and you smell.